Hi folks, I'm Richard Friedman and welcome to my political cartoon countdown for August 7th, 2021. Every week or two we get together and we do the top cartoon countdown for the week or the time period, and based upon impressions on Twitter. And if you like to see my cartoons, they're up on Twitter at Bronx Cartoonist at RJF Cartoons. I'm from the Bronx, and a lot of stories I like to tell once in a while about that. But I just want to move on today with basically to introduce you to my new book for 2021 for the first half from January to June, and also to show you my countdown for the week, and then to take a trip back on this date, going back in history from my other books, and show you a flashback from what happened on this date, say 2 years ago or so, from my other books that are available on my website, which is Richards, no apostrophe S and no spaces, Richards Books of Political Cartoons.com, and there you can see all my books, including my newest one, and that's available for sale through Amazon, and there's a link there. You can hook right up, and you could just order it there and have a great time, or you can just look at it and take a trip, political Disney World trip, and you get to see all the latest things. Plus you see the past. And I always say that a lot of times I go back and I look at the cartoons from the 1800s or the past presidents, and I got to look up the history books to see what's going on there with a cartoon. The pictures look funny, but to get the full, but with my cartoons, take 20, 30, 40, even 50, 100 years ago from now, you'll be able to look at it and you'll see, because I give you the caption and the date of what exactly happened. So I think that's a unique feature that my cartoons have, is that they give you a full picture of the time and what was going on as an introduction and the date. So it was created. So in any event, here we go with, this is from my, let's just start from here, my first book. This is my first book. Okay, and this was from, the date is here, August 15th, 2018. Okay, right, here we go. Here's former President Trump talking with his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani. And here's how it went 3 years ago. How a Trump-Giuliani meeting might have gone after Giuliani threatened to unload on Robert Mueller like a ton of bricks if the special counsel doesn't wrap up his Russia probe by the time the former mayor wants him to. That's Rudy Giuliani, former mayor of New York City. And Trump pulled former CIA Director John Brennan's security clearance. So John Brennan was given, his security clearance was wiped out, taken away. So here's how this conversation might have gone between former President Trump and his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, here on this date. The date, former President Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and Brennan. John Brennan here in the cement truck. Okay, so here we go. Numero uno, number one. Rudy, I like your idea of unloading a ton of bricks on Mueller. With John Brennan's big mouth, it's going to take more than a ton of bricks. Any ideas how we can keep him quiet, basically? Mr. President, how about a ride in a cement mixer truck for Brennan? And here's former President Trump. There he says that. And here's former President Trump, and he says, here, that should mix him up a bit. That should give him a good mix him up a little bit. And then here we have Brennan, but in the cement truck. It's John Brennan in the cement truck, okay, as a former former CIA Director John Brennan. Well, in reality, all they did was take away his security clearance. That's all they really did. But I guess it's a little bit of wishful thinking. Anyway, John Brennan has written a number of books that are also available on Amazon. I'm not plugging anybody, just as a footnote. So they didn't keep him quiet. All right, there we go. Okay, now this is from my 2019 book. Here we are. Here we go with August 6th, 2019. Okay. Now here we have a very interesting cartoon. In that I didn't pick any of the players here. I did it to symbolize what's going on, and I used, people who are everyday people to symbolize what was going on. Yeah. So we go. Trump makes it clear that he condemns hate and blames mental illness for mass shootings, and that he won't support any restrictions on the weapons like restrictions like the AK-47s that have been used in U.S. massacres, calling for a crackdown on violent games and mental health reforms. Okay? Okay? So he's basically, the former president was not doing anything to restrict these heavy military arms like the AK-47. We've seen other weapons like that. Okay? And so we have here, and then the IRS was investigating former President Trump's taxes. So we have here, welcome to the Donald J. Trump Psychiatric Clinic for Prevention of Domestic Terrorism and Hate Crimes. And here's a psychiatrist talking to this guy who works for the Internal Revenue Service, you see, who he is going after, okay? So he says, welcome, so you don't look like a man filled with hate. How did you get referred here? You see, so he was referred, this is a psychiatrist saying that to this man who's been referred. Because President Trump is concerned about people not being stable in the IRS. If you have a gun and you're not stable, not too bad. But if you're in the IRS and you're unstable, that could be a big problem. So anyway, so he goes, you don't look like a man full of hate. And then here we got number two. Here's the guy. It's an innocent guy who was called in here. He goes, I was just an honest tax examiner for New York State and had some questions about Mr. Trump's tax returns. I was playing the video game called Barbarian, the Ultimate Warrior, and some feds broke into my house and took me into custody. Okay? And here's the psychiatrist responding here. Do you still have Barbarian? And the guy goes from, the tax examiner says, yes, I do, doctor. And then the psychiatrist says to him, then we can solve your problem, my son. I'll trade you Wolfenstein for your Barbarian. Wolfenstein was another great type of thing, So anyway, the psychiatrist is in the same boat as the tax examiner, but nobody went after the psychiatrist because they were more concerned about the tax examiner. That's the kind of thrust of the cartoon. Okay, so that was back then. And here's my 2020 book. Okay, here we have the incident with the Postal Service. What happened when they was picking up mailboxes, and we saw on TV when the head of the Postal Service ordered all these postal boxes picked up because they were too close together, making it too easy to vote. If a mailbox is right in front of your house, that's much too easy. Or down a block, 2 blocks, oh, that's too easy. It's got to be at least 10 blocks away. Maybe you have to hitchhike a little bit if you don't have a car, or whatever, or carry an umbrella if it's a rainy day, whatever. Okay, so here we go. Trump admits he's refusing to fund the U.S. Postal Service to sabotage mail-in voting because of fraudulent voting being enabled by mail, which there is no past evidence of. So he was saying a lot of mail-in votes were being fraudulently done. Amid the Postal Service warning 46 states it may not be able to deliver ballots in time on current election rules. The president's conceivable explanation for the confirmed removal of mailboxes from the Oregon cities of Portland and Eugene, which at this writing has been stopped in the western states until after the election. So they got on his case for that. So after the election, it would resume. That was August 14th, 2020. Just about a year ago. There's trouble. And here's former President Trump. We have only removed mailboxes that were very close together. These mailboxes were taken to harness their fantastic galvanized steel to continue my administration's complete rebuilding of our military with the world's finest planes, ships, and other military arms. So he's saying basically he's harnessing the steel in the mailboxes for our defense, for our defense of America. You take away the democracy and you build the ships. That's what it comes down to. So that was that. And they were also taking out sorters and disassembling sorters into pieces and making chopped liver out of the sorters in the Postal Service, taking those sorters, all these big machines that sorted mail, they were taking them out and dismembering them, So anyway, it's amazing we still have a Postal Service, Anyway, so here we go. There it is. There goes the service boxes, postal service boxes. There goes the boxes. All right, folks. All right. Now let's see here. We got this was a flashback from August 3rd with Dr. Barbara Birx. And here Dr. Birx turns to Zoltar for health insurance following Trump blasting Birx after she warns coronavirus pandemic extraordinarily widespread. And here's Zoltar. Here's Zoltar. Zoltar. Dr. Birx, Liberty customizes your car insurance. Zoltar. And here's Dr. Birx. Here's Dr. Birx. Zoltar, I am looking for customized mental health insurance since the president called me pathetic for warning about the virus now being widespread in rural as well as urban areas. Okay, so that's what she's saying here. She needs mental health insurance to Zoltar. And Zoltar responds, Zoltar say, maybe you need customized long car trip or vacation away from White House. Why pay more for what you don't need? So why not just take a trip away from the White House? Why pay more for health insurance, for mental health insurance, when you can just take a trip away and get away from it all? So anyway, so then Dr. Deborah Birx says to herself, well, that's a pretty good idea. Zoltar, I'd like to shake your hand. I'd like to shake your hand, Zoltar. And Zoltar say, here's Zoltar. Zoltar say, sorry, Dr. Birx, Zoltar never break glass to shake hands with any White House folks. So if you've seen some of those commercials from way back, maybe a year ago, where Zoltar pushes his hand through the glass to make his point, he pushes his hands through the glass and then he walks, and then he goes out with his bicycle, or whatever, he puts his hand through the glass. So here he's not going to break the glass to shake hands with anybody from the White House because of the coronavirus at the time was spreading through the White House. So there you have that one. That's a flashback from my 2020 book. Okay, now let's take a look at, this is the cover of my latest book for 2021, The Greatest 2021 Book of Political Cartoons, Edition 1, January through June, Richard Friedman. Here it is. You could probably see who these people are, get an idea. Here's Dr. Fauci, here's the Vice President. Here we go, President Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris, President Joe Biden, and we've got here Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, Mitch McConnell, and then we have here Jim Jordan, I think Jim Jordan, yeah. And here's the Pillow Man. Here's National Security Advisor Bolton. Here, there's Barr. There's Gates. There's Marco Rubio. You can recognize them. There's a ghost of Nixon. There's the Trump supporters. Here's former President Trump leading the orchestra here. Nancy Pelosi, I said that. Joe Manchin in a Munchkin. I put him in a Munchkin suit because Trump called him Joe Munchkin, so I gave him a Munchkin outfit here. Okay. And there's the Capitol in the background. And that's the book for 6 months. Okay. Okay, folks, let's get started on the countdown. Okay. First of all, this is here as a cartoon that I just completed maybe just minutes ago, and I don't even have it secured enough to properly put up, so I'm going to put it in this to secure it as I show it to you. Okay, what I did here is I brought back Archie Bunker with his grandson, and they're watching the latest events regarding the Delta virus, the variant Delta virus, which is now widespread in our country and ravaging our country, and now focus on the young people, unfortunately and sadly, and focusing on the people who are not vaccinated, and particularly the people, if you're not vaccinated, you don't have a mask, you know. And then there's controversy over the school issue, which is coming up. School starts in a couple of weeks or so, or very close. And we're pushing into August now. So there's an issue now of regarding the mandate on schools. Now, some governors are saying that schools shouldn't have a right to mandate that students have to wear masks, and it's up to the parents to be the final determiner of whether their child wears a mask. And there's controversy over that, and the medical people, all the medical people I've listened to, from the Spanish ones, the English ones, everyone, you know, they all say the same thing, that mask is our greatest defense, because these viruses, as they mutate, they get stronger and stronger. And the thing is that that you need all the protection you can get, and the mask provides, if you have the vaccine, it provides extra protection. If you don't have the vaccine, it provides some protection that you didn't have before you were walking around naked. At least now you have the mask. So, and this is a highly contagious thing, more contagious than the original one, you know, back a year ago that first started. And I think they call it the Alpha virus, and this is the Delta. I don't know, like fraternity, you know, you know. So anyway, so we're using Greek letters here. So anyway, the thing is that now so there's controversy, and all the doctors, the medical establishment, the reputable ones, including Dr. Fauci, and everywhere you hear it, they say students who you got to protect the students now, especially since this virus, this new mutated virus is now going after the young people who are unvaccinated. They're like in the target of this new mutated virus, Delta. So there's controversy. So what I did was here, I took a situation, if you remember Archie Bunker, where he had a grandson, Joey. So Joey is grown up now, and he's in high school, let's say. And so Joey is watching with Archie Bunker. It's a couple of weeks before school right now, and they're watching the news about the Delta virus. You see, now Archie feels here that the masks are a bunch of pinkos basically, and that there should be no masks, and everybody should just do their thing, and that's about it here. So, and then now his grandson Joey has some second thoughts about that, and he's saying to himself, well, here watching this on TV now, here's Joey, and he's watching it on television, sitting next to Archie, and he's saying to himself, well, you know, I think there's something to this. I wish I did have I should be wearing a mask, you know. I really feel that way now. This is a kid, maybe he's 15 years old, 14, let's say, years old now. And he's thinking himself, I should be wearing a mask now. And he's sitting next to Archie, his Grandpa Archie here, watching all the news about the virus. And here goes the cartoon, okay? Here goes number one. Here it goes. Grandpa Archie, I have decided that I'm going to wear a face mask at school next week. School starts in a week, let's say, okay? And now Archie, this is Archie here. Archie says, now wait a minute. Remember how you almost failed fractions and decimal division stuff last year? And now you will be taking algebra? Your brain needs all the oxygen, there's oxygen, all the oxygen, there's the oxygen. Your brain needs all the oxygen it can get. Those pinko masks are no good for learning algebra. Okay, and here goes Joey, his grandson says, here's Joey, grandson says, but Grandpa Archie, at home I won't wear a mask, and you can help me with my algebra. You know, so he says, Grandpa Archie could help him with his algebra, and he won't be wearing a mask, so that'll make up for any problem he had in school not understanding it if he were to wear a mask. So then here's Grandpa Archie responds this way. He says, I'd like to help you, Joey, but all I know about algebra is that if you put an X and a Y together, you get a boy, and a double X gets you a girl. You know? So that's all he knows about algebra. Double X, you get a girl, and X and Y, you get a boy. That's all he knows about algebra. There's Archie Bunker with his grandson watching the latest news on the Delta virus 2 weeks before school starts. And Joey saying he has second thoughts about going to school without a mask, and he's expressing it to Grandpa Archie, and that's it here. Okay. Now, moving along to the next one here. We're going to move up to number one. This was number two here. Here we have former. Let's take a look at this. Here we have President Trump waving the American flag. And this is the Justice Department. This is Jim Jordan. And this is here, I forget his name. This is, okay, we'll get to it. Scott Perry. Scott Perry here. There's Scott Perry. And there's Jim Jordan, okay? Whoop. Scott Perry, Jim Jordan, the Trump 2020 sign, the Justice Department. former President Trump. These are two loyal Trump supporters, very loyal, who Trump picked out in this cartoon as supporters. Okay, so here we go. Former President Donald Trump's phone conversation of December 27th, 2020. This is a while, just before the January 6th riot, December 27th, 2020, just before the riot and after the election, well after the election, with his then acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen. Based on this reported excerpt from a high-level justice official's notes, this was the high-level official who was a deputy in the Justice Department, and he was apparently on the phone and took notes of a conversation that the former President Trump had with the now acting Attorney General Rosen. So as soon as Barr was out the door, President Trump was working on Rosen, because Barr had already said he wanted no part of this stuff. He said, no evidence of any voter fraud. I'm out of here. That's it. So as soon as Barr locked the doors on his office and head out took a taxi cab away from the Justice Department, and Trump said, well, that could be another cartoon there. But Trump said, okay, there he goes, there he's gone, bye, Barr. Here comes Jeffrey. Now it's time to work with Jeffrey on getting some American justice, okay, for my retake of the presidency for a second term, and defying the people and saying, I won this election, okay, without really any hardcore proof, just by a bunch of stuff, So anyway, we went over the flying saucers and the beams and all that. We've gone through all that business. I'm not going to dwell on that here. But anyway, there's sure a lot of stuff, Anyway, just say that. So here we go. I want to start this over again and go consistently through this. Former President Donald Trump's phone conversation of December 27, 2020, with his then acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen, based on this reported excerpt from a high-level justice official's notes. Trump, just say that the 2020 election was corrupt and that person was listening on the phone, and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. So the Republican congressman, he means is here, Jim Jordan and again Perry, okay? Okay, Scott Perry, okay? And leave the rest to me and these Republican congressmen. What the former president may have been fantasizing about in leaving rest up to him and his loyal Republican congressmen. So once he got the support of the Justice Department, you see, then Rosen was going to stay in the background, and he was going to, with his congressman, he was going to do the show. It'd be Trump and his loyal Republican congressmen, from representatives, congressmen, whatever, lawmakers, who were going to take on the show, do the show to get former president, to maintain his presidency for another 4 years, and kind of negate the election of 2020 in favor of Donald J. Trump, who says he won big time. Not as big as he won in 2016, but still big enough to be a president again. Okay, so here we have, this is a scenario of what former President Trump is fantasizing when he made that statement that leave the rest up to him and his loyal Republican congressmen. So here they are. Here they two. Here's his two most loyal people, along with Trump 2020, the Justice Department, the American flag, and former President Trump, carrying the flag, pointing to the Justice Department. That's the Justice Department building they're standing in front of, with two congressmen and an American flag, two loyal congressmen. Okay? My fellow Americans, I stand here today with the full support of the U.S. Department of Justice and two of the most loyal and patriotic Republican representatives in the history of our country, Representatives Jim Jordan and Scott Perry, to say, your voices will not be silenced. We won the election. To use a favorite term you all came up with, you came up with this, not me, we will stop the steal. We have justice on our side. So justice meaning the Department of Justice that he's pointing to here. And Jeffrey Rosen's probably hiding out in the basement of that building somewhere. You know, leave me out of this. Okay, you got what you wanted. Now just don't mention me. leave it me. You know, just like that old saying when the Greyhound take the bus and leave the driving to us. You know, remember that statement? If you're my age, take the bus and leave the driving to us. Well, that's what he's saying to Rosen. Just take the bus down to the basement and leave the driving to me and my two favorite congressmen. We'll get it done. We'll get there. So there it is. There it is. That's a fantasy. In other words, this is a fantasy of former President Trump's when he said that and what he could have been thinking at the time. And the speech, this was taken from some other speeches that the former president made, put into a theme here. Pointing to the Department of Justice. We have justice. There it is. So if not for Jeffrey Rosen, if he would have gone along, we might not have a democracy today. So maybe there should be a national holiday called, if we have Washington's birthday, maybe we should have Rosen's birthday, you know, because if Rosen would have went along with this, we might not have a democracy today. Because all they would have to do is use the Justice Department to reach out to the states, and it would have been a constitutional crisis. Let's put it. At best, it would have been a constitutional crisis. At best, at worst, we would have lost our democracy. So, take it from there. You decide. I give you the facts with a joke or two here and there, and my drawings, and you decide which way you want to think about it. Now, this was number one of the week. The Beatles, as they are, they're still number one, the Beatles, still number one. And here they are, number one, the Beatles. She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. She loves you with a love like that. You know you like that. You know you should be glad. She says, okay, well, I'm singing that song because if I sing the song that this is about, Maxwell's Silver Hammer, I'm going to be in big trouble. So I picked up She Loves You, Yeah, 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 as opposed to singing Maxwell's Silver Hammer. Because if I sing Maxwell's Silver Hammer, when this comes out, they're going to be looking for me to give me a silver hammer. So I ain't going to sing Maxwell's Silver Hammer. You want to listen to it? You plug into it and listen to it and dial it up, Maxwell's Silver Hammer. I'm going to sing to you my version of Maxwell's Silver Hammer. Okay? So here we go. Here's the Beatles. I'll give you an introduction here. Number one, the Beatles. Here we got Ringo, John Lennon here. Here's John Lennon. And I don't remember, Paul McCartney. I think that's Paul McCartney. And well, I got 3 out of the 4. Give me a 75%. I don't. Let's see. George. It's so long ago. But anyway, this is it. See, so we're Paul McCartney and. Well, anyway, this is the Beatles, and here's the song. And we have here, this was to, anyway, first let's read this here. How the Beatles might have updated the title and lyrics to the tune of their 1969 song, Maxwell's Silver Hammer. Bang, bang, Maxwell's silver hammer came. That's it for me. Maxwell's Silver Hammer. Changing title to Kevin's Giant Gavel. We're going to change the song to Kevin's Giant Gavel for the 2021 version of Maxwell's Silver Hammer by the Beatles. Kevin's Giant Gavel. And the below lyrics, given at a recent dinner, members of Tennessee's Republican congressional delegation gave House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy an oversized gavel, a big gavel, with the words "Fire Pelosi" on it, and McCarthy reportedly said, "It will be hard not to hit her with it, but I will bang it down hard." So they gave him this big gavel, as the head of the Senate, majority head. He gets a gavel, and he bangs to call to order, the gavel, So, and it had that "Fire Pelosi" on a big gavel. So here goes the song for the 2021 version, bringing back the Beatles to sing their upgraded lyrics and title called Kevin's Giant Gavel. Okay? Latest 2021. Okay, here it goes. Bang, bang, Kevin's giant gavel came down hard as he became House head. Bang, bang, Kevin's giant gavel made sure Pelosi's leadership was dead. Boom, boom, Pelosi is gone. Now that she's gone physically, her leadership is gone. Okay, I ain't gonna say nothing else. Pelosi leadership is gone because they got enough votes, they got enough people elected, and they took over the leadership in 2022 of the House. That's what the song is about. It's not about doing in Pelosi in any way, shape, or form. It's about defeating her politically and silencing her. She's no longer the majority head of the House of Representatives. Okay, and McCarthy takes the title back. Okay, yeah. And there's the Beatles. Okay. Ringo Starr on top there. Okay. Okay, folks, I want to thank you very much for watching my political cartoon countdown, folks. And I say to you that we have to go through these times, taking it as a challenge more than anything else. Prices are going up. We see this at the gas pump. We see if we go out and buy a car. We see all these things. It's easy to say the world is falling apart on us, and we see what's going on with our adversaries, what they're doing, and with the hacking and with things like that. And it's easy to fall into to say, well, our world is coming to an end. But we have to refrain from thinking like that, and we have to think harder and more positive now than ever before. And we have to think that we can overcome whatever obstacles get in our way, and we have to elect the best leaders we possibly can. And it's no longer a time where we can push down or vote for somebody that we don't know who they are and just say, well, you've got to research everything you vote for and think about it. And that's really my message in all my work, is to get people to think and laugh and then make a choice and bring it to the forefront of what's going on with a spoon full of sugar. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat. It is a tough time, and we have to be smart, and we have to stay cool and do the right thing and think things through. And this is not time to just say give up, or to say, well, I just can't take no more. I'm mad as hell. I ain't gonna take it. If we go crazy, I'm as mad as hell. I ain't gonna take it no more. We have to be rational above all and think this is tough, but we can get through it. And that's my message for you. And so, folks, you have a good week and take care of yourselves. And as I say, God bless you and God bless America. And until next time, I'll see you again. Take care, folks. Bye.